Charlie Malouf, President and CEO at Broad River. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Center for Social Capital to talk about so many exciting things. We really appreciate you being here.
Hey, Chris, it's great to get to meet you, and I'm super excited to spend some time with you. I actually did some research on Dave Alexander and what a life he lived. And so the Dave Alexander Center for Social Capital seems like it's a really cool center that you guys have set up, and you guys talk my language and about business the way I like to think about it. So it's a pleasure to be in your company here today.
Well, thanks so much for that note on Dave. Dave really is an extraordinary guy, and that's one of the reasons why we named the center after him, and as well as so much of his support. But you hit it spot on how he leads his company and has led his company, and we value and appreciate all the CEOs that we honor, but there really truly are few that so perfectly embody so many of our principles and practices in such an extraordinary way, as perfectly as you. So we're going to get into all of that. But first of all, thank you for being a social capital, people-centric company and leader and doing what you do.
Well, thank you. Those are kind words. I gotta live up to those words. But I'm surrounded by some amazing people, and business is more fun when you make it about people and about lifting others up, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Let's start off by just kind of introducing you to our audience a little bit, and I'll let you just tell people what your company does and what it is and its relationship to Ashley.
Sure. We are a retail company. Broad River Retail is a licensee of 33 Ashley stores throughout the Carolinas and Georgia. We are independently owned and operated. So we have an agreement with Ashley Furniture Industries, the manufacturer, and we open up. It's not a franchisee, so we make our own decisions. We're independent, but we have to represent the brand well, and we want to represent the brand well. But in terms of like our people decisions, our employment decisions, our purpose statement, that's all unique to us and who we are. And we take great pride in that, but we are a proud partner with Ashley throughout the Carolinas and Georgia. So we're like in the Charlotte market, the Raleigh-Durham, Fayetteville market, the Wilmington market, the mountains in Western North Carolina, Asheville, the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, and Augusta, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina, and then Columbia, South Carolina. And so we've got 33 stores, 3 distribution centers, about 800 plus memory makers. So our purpose statement is furnishing life's best memories. And that's 4 simple words. They're profound by themselves, but put together, they're even more profound. But the way we like to think about it is outwardly focused. So we like to think of it as furnishing life's best memories, for others, for other people. And those, we're mindful of our organizational wake, like I used to hear Kip Tyndall from the Container Store say. And so that means, we are conscientious of, furnishing life's best memories for our own memory makers, for our families of our memory makers, for our guests who we have the privilege of serving in our stores, for our partners, because it's not a zero-sum game, it's a spirit of abundance and mutual prosperity, and we want a healthy ecosystem, for our neighbors, for our community, for our planet, for our friends in the industry, and for other organizations who we get to support. So it's just being mindful of the ripple effects and the organizational weight that we can have within our 4 walls, but then outside of our 4 walls. And so we call ourselves memory makers just to reinforce our identity. We like to say that purpose begins with identity. And so, like Disney has cast members. And so we might have memory makers because that just reinforces we are literally in the business of furnishing life's best memories for others.
I mean, you said so much, and we're going to drill down on a lot of that here, today. But first of all, I wanted to remind everybody how you came to be involved with our center. You were nominated in our nomination article that we had towards the end of last year by Gary Ridge, one of the most incredible leaders in people-centric business. And the quote he had about you was just wonderful. He said, Charlie Malouf is a CEO who not only gets that people are the soul of business, but has created a culture where people matter, belong, and are nurtured. And he referred to a quote that you have in which you said, culture is not a microwavable event. It takes a crock pot approach.
Yeah.
And I love that quote on so many levels. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about, what you meant by that?
That's so fun. First of all, I love Gary. He's such a special human being, and I've learned so much from him. I'm looking forward to his latest book coming out that's titled "Any Dumbass Can Do It," which is kind of funny. But he's all about learning moments and things of that nature. So, but that quote specifically, you can't microwave culture. It takes a crock pot mentality. We used to go on these tours through all of our stores and kind of these the way to kick off the year. We used to call it our Orange Crush tours. And, that's when it came about. We were just talking about kind of our way of doing business and the Broad River way, and, we like to say love is acting in the long-term best interest of another. And so if you don't trust us today, we'll give us time and hopefully won't prove that you can't trust us. We'll prove that you can trust us by the decisions we make in your best interest over a long period of time. And so it's just that consistent actions and acting in service of someone else. And so that's how culture is built. You can't just say, hey, I'll wake up today. I'm going to have a great culture. Well, no, you're going to have to, everyone gets it at their own speed, and you have to work at it every single day. You have to let it simmer. It takes time, and it's something that you just have to kind of put into your daily disciplines, your daily rhythms, your weekly rhythms. You can erode culture in a day or a single decision or a single event, but you build culture every single day. And really, it's a pulse. It's a check in time. I wear this Whoop band, and it gives me my biometrics and my health stats, but they're a moment in time. And it's just the same thing as your culture. What's the temperature right now? And we've got to be mindful of our organizational culture as a company. And we do pulse surveys and engagement surveys to do that. But also we've got 36 unique locations, and we've got to mine the culture of each of those locations all the time at any given moment in time and make sure they're synchronized and synced up and everyone's kind of reading from the same playbook. But so that's what it's really about. It just reinforces that daily consistency. And so we kind of value consistency over intensity. And we love that. I love this quote from Albert Einstein. He's got so many great quotes, like never lose a holy curiosity. But one of them, he says that, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And so we just take the power of compound interest or the power of compounding, and we apply that to other aspects: culture building, learning, growing, developing, personal development. And so it's that whole consistency over intensity mindset.
And this commitment to this understanding of this, a lot of this started and came from being on the brink of bankruptcy, right?
You're going there, huh?
And talk a little bit about how that happened and why. You would mention something about shifting from a human resources mindset to a human capital mindset. Tell our viewers a little bit about why you did that and how it made all the difference.
Okay, so the quick backstory is our company was founded in 2003. I'm actually not one of the co-founders. I joined 2 years later in 2005, the day we opened store number 3. One of the co-founders wanted to leave after a couple of years that I had joined, so we bought him out. One of the co-founders and I grew the company for the next 10 years, and I'd say we were about above average company. We were pretty good, but we're never we hadn't achieved that excellence yet. In the beginning of 2015, we had a confluence of events, with an acquisition, with breaking ground on our new corporate campus, and with a conversion to a new ERP system. That new ERP system did not go well, even though we had a year and a half planning that went into it. And anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I mean, we were the worst at it. And over the next 6 months, we essentially broke all of our bones. and nearly just about ran out. Well, we did run out of like all of our cash and all of our excess cash and all of our access to credit. And we
Wow.
couldn't even produce financial statements for 6 months.
Wow.
Um, and I can give you more of the details to paint a darker picture of it. Suffice it to suffice it to say, it took me several years before I could even talk about that time period without being super emotional about it. But we broke all of our bones in the first 6 months of 2015. However, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to us. Because typically, when you break your bones, if it doesn't kill you, they grow back stronger. And what it afforded us to do was on the brink of like going out of business, being thrown into special assets, nearly going away or being absorbed, and the vultures were circling. And by the way, I had just taken over the CEO role from my business partner, and and then learned how much money we had lost in the first 6 months and where we were. And of course, I knew we weren't doing well. And so every day for like 11 months, I basically had to wake up, put a smile on my face, uh, not show fear to our people. And there was a gun pointed to my head because the bank could have just pulled the trigger if we sniffed the wrong way, if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, we could have gone away. That's how tense it was, how
Wow.
close it was to the line for several months. And so really the story that I said was, hey, if we're going down, we're going to go down the right way, swinging when we have nothing left to lose. So it was just this period of creative destruction, but invention, and we weren't bound by previous things. Like, don't change that because it's always worked for us. Nothing was working, so we changed everything. We tried a whole bunch of stuff, and one of those things was, hey, I've had this nudging for a while, like um, about changing. You get stuck in your ways, and everyone calls it HR. And I said, well, wait a second. What if it was human capital? And what if, you know, we, I'll just give you one quick anecdotal story if I can to
Hmm.
articulate this.
Please.
Because I said we'll hold ourselves accountable to having career paths for everyone, every nook and cranny. But in our industry, a very traditional, mature industry, so everyone tries to look around other retailers and say, oh, they do it like this, and there's clear benchmarks. And so the common title for a sales associate, which is a great profession to have, was RSA, Retail Sales Associate. Now, what I would see, and I didn't come from the industry, so in my naivety, I was just kind of asking questions. But what I would see is someone who had been with us for 9 years and given us blood, sweat, and tears, and poured their heart and soul into the company and been a top performer. Their title was Retail Sales Associate. And then someone who had been with us for 9 hours and had not done anything, their title was, or 90 minutes, their title was Retail Sales Associate. And so, people want a lot of things in their job. They want certain compensation, benefits, a great leader, but they also want to grow. They want to be recognized. They want to be celebrated. And so we just said, well, what if? What if we could have career paths on the sales commission level? And by the way, sales drives our business. It's the engine for growth. It's a great thing about the American capitalist like society. Like, sales is not a bad thing. Let's
Yeah.
elevate it and celebrate it. And so we said, what if we said home furnishings associate? Then you could graduate, get promoted to home furnishings consultant, graduate, get promoted to home furnishings professional, and then graduate and get promoted to the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the special forces, the elite, the home furnishings experts. And what if we put teeth to each of these levels that people could ascend to and make more money as they go? And just that move really reinvigorated this tired old program of RSA. And so we created career pathing at every industry. And it was just taking that mindset from human resources where a resource on your balance sheet is a liability. And what do you want to do with your liabilities? You want to minimize them. But if capital on your balance sheet, what do you want to do with capital? You want to grow it. So it's just a mindset shift to say we want to grow our people, and we will hold us by the words that we use. We will hold ourselves accountable to growing our people and having career pathing at every nook and cranny of our business, even if it's never been done that way. Even better if it's never been done that way. We're
Hmm.
going to go invent a new way to do it and just come up with what. And so that would be one example of something that we tried in this 2015 period when we were at our worst. And in that, like, we gave everyone a raise and on the sales floor by paying them commission on a category that we had never paid commission on because it was like a no margin category. And we said, no, every dollar counts. And we've cost the money by how we've like lost sales and broken promises in the first 6 months. And so if I was on Wall Street and a CEO and they would have said, well, what's the turnaround plan? And I was like, yeah, we're going to pay all our people more. Like, I'd be going like that. Like, yeah, get that guy out of here. He's not going to work. But, I had a little bit of a runway, not much, but a little bit. I said, no, the right thing is we're going to pay our people more. And the more we've invested and compensated and celebrated our people, the crazy thing has happened, the better we have done, the better our performance has done. And our performance has grown beyond our wildest dreams. Our profitability has grown beyond our wildest dreams. Our growth of our company has gone beyond our wildest dreams from this catalyst and this sea change of thinking about how we grow our people and not having a scarcity mindset. Oh, we got to cut costs. We got to cut containment. We got to cut people. No,
Yeah.
we got to expand and grow and think of abundance and mutual prosperity. And it's not that we don't like live within our harvest. We do. It's not that we don't live within like our budgeting. We certainly do, but it's just a mindset shift of, hey, if we do things the right way, if we invest in our people, there'll be so much spoils and lagniappe that we can share with our people. So that's a little bit about how that came to be, but it was some pretty tense times and moments in 2015. The cool thing about that is we lost all this money in the first 6 months, and once we turned the corner, we went on just this consistent march of profitability that kept getting better and better and better, and our people kept getting paid more and more and more, and as the company did better as well. So really proud of that story and how that all turned out. And it wasn't just like me. Like I looked around and there was people who were in the foxhole with me and like, hey, we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. We're in the fight with you. And what you learn when you go through trials and tribulations, that's when you can really grow together and unite and really, when you're going through it, might not realize it, but when you look back on it, you're like, even though it was really hard and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of tears and high emotions, you're like, man, those were some special times and some special memories. And that's what I take back from those times.
You just said so much. And, at the beginning of the conversation, I said, there's so many things that you do that, are perfectly representative of what we talk about and how we talk about it. And just to, again, to put this into a concise space, the idea that when you're losing money, when you're losing market share, when you're losing in general, the idea that you're going to give more to your people. We believe that is the way capitalism works and should work, but it's counterintuitive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh no, we need to cut costs. But so many of our CEOs, so many of our leaders show that, hey, look, the real bottom line is people. That's our slogan. And there's a reality to it that is based in a value added concept. I mean, we always say we're not talking about doing these things because it's just nice to do it. Yeah, it's great to be nice. We should be nice people, but these are best business practices, and people sometimes don't realize it. But you're the perfect proof of that. You were in that spot, and you said, "Let's do what might not be the first thought. Let's throw more money at our people. Let's take care of our people." And for once you do it and you see how it works, then it becomes obvious, right? And you have this great quote that we've had in our feature, our nomination feature, where you say, "We will grow as far as our people take us, or not." And when you really do think about it, right? People are the ones that are going to do it. They're the ones that are going to sell the stuff. They're the ones that are going to make you succeed. They're the ones that are going to promote the company. They're the ones that are going to grow the company. So how could you possibly do it without taking care of people? But until somebody like you sees it, does it, proves it, it doesn't seem like something that needs to be talked about in a business circle. But it's exactly what needs to be talked about in a business circle. And again, the proof is in the pudding, right? Because what it led to, was extraordinary success for you, so you could teach a class on this, really, and you probably should. So how did you see this? Obviously the big result, the company is succeeding by leaps and bounds. How did realizing and recognizing that you were right to do this, that this was the correct way forward, which I'm sure there were more than a few people that might have said, "What are you doing?" How did the success that you realized by doing this change your perspective on business in general?
Um, it was the great experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It was never a woe is me. Why is this happening to us? Is like, hey, this is happening to us, and we get a chance to be unbounded by like our previous like limitations. We can play free now, and
Mm.
um, you they weren't. I mean, these ideas were hooked to like learnings we've had. And you might read something like, oh, that's a good idea, but maybe you might have a thought, I can never do that, or I don't see how we could do that. But like it was a chance for like all these learnings we've had over time to say, well, hey, now's a great chance we can try these things. Like I had gone to World Business Forum in New York City for a couple of years, and I mentioned Kip Tyndall from the Container Store speak. I'd seen Blake Mycoskie from Tom's Shoes, the One for One movement speak. Simon Sinek, Start With Why, had seen him speak. I'd studied conscious capitalism and kind of that movement that was taking place. But also like, and from a business parlance, like, you know, I had the 10,000 hours invested in like studying our business to like understand, where the leakage comes from on our sales and like how to say, when you have enough practice in doing a business, if you have an instinct for something, you kind of learn to trust your instincts. And so I had this instinct that like the thing I was talking to you about that we started paying commission on was on delivery. And so this is another great story was we would not pay commission on delivery because we were just happy to not lose a little bit of money on it, like the cost that we had to pay for it, and then the cost to provide it. The cost or the revenue we brought in, the cost was always greater. But we had this catalyst, we had to change it. And I said, well, wait a second. I think that sometimes maybe they're giving away delivery because they don't have the incentive to it, and every dollar counts that the customer's willing to pay. But when we look at it on a P&L that we're not making any money on it, then the service we go higher is like what I used to call LCD, lowest common denominator service. And I said, the strategic bet is I don't think Mrs. Jones wants an LCD provider in her home. She wants a premium service. Like she doesn't want we would never pay the least amount of commissions because you're going to get the least amount of performance. So why would we go try to find the people who are going to charge us the less to complete this really hard job of doing like last mile delivery all day, every day? I said, but to be able to like afford a premium or a better or an elevated service, we got to bring in more money. But to bring in more money, I got to give our people incentive to like sell it, and I got to brand it. So we did a whole branding campaign. We changed it. And I said, and by the way, the culture right now expects free delivery because there's free delivery everything on Amazon. So I said, but wait a second, this isn't delivery. We're not dropping a sofa off at her doorstep. They go into the home. They got to like have, put the booties on their shoes. They got to be clean, well kept, well ordered. They're going into the intimacy of going into her home, and they got to assemble it, set it up. Like this is a high touch, elevated service. And so I say all that to say, we began charging more. Mrs. Jones happily paid for more, but then we actually went and found a vendor who was going to charge us more because we wanted to elevate the service. And then we got our numbers up on the service. And then instead of like saying delivery was like 50% of our sales or 70% of our sales, it became like 97% of our sales. Everybody started buying it and wanting it. And our people made more money on it and then believed in it more. They didn't like, oh, I hope they don't get a bad delivery service. No, they like sold into it with confidence because they knew there was better talent going into the home. And that's what Mrs. Jones wants. No one wants to set up their furniture themselves or go pick it up and pay for the gas and everything else. So all that to say, that's one little deal that went to like more profit for the company, but a better experience for the customer, a wildly better experience for the customer. and more income and more satisfaction for our people. So there's a cartoon I used to love to show about this whole mutual prosperity example, which is a win-win would be great, but a win-win-win would be better. And so it's a whole thing about like thinking about every constituent wins. And so I guess, Chris, it just reinforced my belief about just business can be about mutual prosperity. Like if you run a profitable business and you mind your P's and Q's and you run a tight ship on controlling your cost, you can, like, if you think of a pie chart, you know, in things as percentages, as the pie grows larger, the percentages for everyone can grow larger. So, but that also means that your philanthropy and your giving can increase and your comp for your people can increase. And oh, by the way, if your comp for your people increases, like they're going to, like your retention is going to increase, your tenure is going to lengthen, and your performance is going to elevate. And so it just reinforced like these things that we thought sounded good, we put into practice, and now they've worked. And so it just kind of, you just get to where you're fine tuning on the fringes, but the core element of how you treat your people, we honestly look for ways to how to treat our people better each and every day, how to compensate them better. And from a logical mindset, but we're not looking for ways to shrink them. We're looking for ways to elevate them and give them more opportunities to go extract their own discretionary effort if they so choose to go achieve phenomenal results. Or if they trust us and we don't give them a reason not to trust us, we all win together. So it's just proving that out.
Yeah, the phrase that just kept coming into my mind as you were talking about all of this is that, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And we've heard that phrase,
100%.
So many times before. And it's so true. The irony of it, though, and I love it. I love the irony is that this view and realization of abundance and how abundance works, came to you when you had lost everything almost, so
Right.
I mean, that is an extraordinary irony,
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I had I had started a company prior to this in the technology space, and had it for like over 5 years. I sold it and took everything and moved from my home state and invested in and became a partner in this company. And then that's, now I'm 12 years into that, or 10 years at the time. So my entire business career and everything I'd worked for was on the verge of going away. So it wasn't just like I had everything invested at this point, of my entire like life savings and life career and business career. So those were the stakes that were those. And so, but it was the best thing that ever happened to us. But those were the stakes at that moment in time.
Yeah. And, the great takeaway though, right? I think the great lesson learned is, if that can work for you at that point, right, and create such prosperity and such success, when you're on the edge like that, right? I mean, think about what it can do for people who aren't on the edge, who are doing well, and how farther that can take them, because the resources that they do have and they can use. I mean, you were limited, obviously, because you were
right.
you were at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak.
And also,
but imagine what people could do if they don't wait till that point.
That's right. And also, I think it's just the whole ecosystem. I mean, not you'd be like, not just what we're able to give to our community partners, which continues to grow, and then what our people are able to give, but then you become like this city on a hill, right? And I don't mean to be kind of prophetic from that, but like what I mean from that is you get to be a role model that others will emulate and learn from. And honestly, Chris, I'm sitting under the shade. I'm sitting on in the shade of trees that I didn't plant. And so we're all, standing on the shoulders of giants and trying to, leave it a little bit better than we found it. In the spirit of stewardship and paving the way for the next generation. And what does every parent want? They want a better life for their children. And so in the spirit of stewardship and leaving it better than we found it, and acknowledging the blessings that we have, because in which we believe are truly immense. And I can go really down that path, but we also now have to think generationally and be legacy minded and think long term and be planting seeds for long term growth and opportunities. for the trees that will sprout, that will be providing the shade for people who come after us, just like people have done for us in our own lives and in our business careers. And that's kind of how we think about it. We're just trying to like get the baton ready to pass it on to the next generation. And there's a stewardship mindset. We're owners, not renters, right? We have to be thinking about long-term owners, not renting. And but there's a stewardship component to it, and it's and I think others can your partners can be inspired by that. And when you think counterculturally, like I want my partners to win. Like I ask them, like I want them to win. I don't want to like squeeze all the profits from them. That's a countercultural thing. Like I want them to do well. I don't want them to do extravagantly well at my behest, but I want them to do well. I want them to make money from being in business with us. I think good will come from that.
And that's the perfect punctuation to wrap all this up today, Charlie. I could talk to you for hours about this, and we definitely need to have you back to to talk again about some of these things that you're doing and have done. But that is the perfect punctuation and great advice to give to our viewers and anybody else who's looking to be this kind of company, this kind of people-centric company. So thank you so much, Charlie, for taking the time today. We really appreciate it, and we will definitely talk to you again soon.
Truly my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you guys do. You inspire me, you inspire others, and I'm so glad that you guys exist and are lifting up the stories of companies and leaders doing great things. So it's an honor and a privilege to speak with you, and I'd be happy to come on again and talk shop with you. It's been fun.
Wonderful, Charlie. Likewise. Thank you. Take care and talk soon.